And now to the politics of it all, and Vicki Young. Vicki, yesterday was an absolutely extraordinary day. We had been told all the way through for weeks and weeks and weeks now that there was not going to be a national lockdown. We'd had ministers ridiculing the Labour Party and accusing them of playing politics by asking for a circuit breaker or a lockdown. And then, I think Friday, things start to go a little bit wobbly. Then we have all those headlines coming out in the papers on Saturday, and then an extraordinary day yesterday. Just talk us through what it was like.
Yeah, and I think actually Friday, because you could tell that the pressure was growing on the Prime Minister, not just because of what was happening in France, in Germany, them taking that action, his own scientists warning him that something more needed to be done, and then within government as well, people in the cabinet. And then there was this meeting on Friday, the sort of core group, if you like.
Just 4 key ministers.
Yeah,
there.
so Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, Rishi Sunak, of course, in charge of the money, Michael Gove and the Prime Minister. And that's when they were shown data, and it sounds horrifying. You've seen some of the graphs there. On Friday night, some of these graphs were being leaked to the BBC, as well as then news emerging that a decision had been made, an original decision had been made to go for a lockdown, but it hadn't been finalised, and that is crucial. And I think yesterday a very interesting tweet from a former member of Theresa May's team saying it's very obvious what happened here. Somebody leaked this because they wanted to make sure that Boris Johnson didn't change his mind. He hadn't signed it off, and that caused all sorts of speculation. Even on Friday, rumours of a press conference happened, then were gone, and then as we saw on Saturday, the same thing happening. So a very dramatic moment, and you can just imagine looking at those graphs as Prime Minister, as Chancellor, all of them, seeing those figures and hearing things like mortuaries were going to have to be made in ice rinks. It's being confronted with that, I think, is what made
it must have been a very, very dramatic and chilling and difficult meeting, that. But you mentioned the leaks coming out of that as well. We both know that when a really key government meeting leaks, it's because there is a row and somebody is leaking to get an advantage. And there are lots of speculations about who was responsible for that. But that has produced all the mayhem last night as well.
Yeah, that's right, and I think a lot of it...
We nearly missed Strictly Come Dancing.
Oh, I know, well, that was, they were really playing with danger there, weren't they? And a lot of that, as you say, is this tension, of course, because the reason Boris Johnson didn't want a national lockdown is not just because he didn't fancy it, it's because he was trying to save jobs. He thought that it would be better to lock down some areas that needed it, but others didn't. And, of course, under huge pressure from the Treasury, from Rishi Sunak, to say, you can't do this, and from some of his own MPs as well, who are very, very concerned that at the end of this, if the economy collapses anymore, you're not going to have the money for the NHS come next year. And so that's the tension that's been at the heart of government, but things have just become so overwhelming that he's had to act. As you say, there's no doubt this is a complete change of direction, a U-turn, whatever you want to call it. And the politics of it, of course, having lambasted Keir Starmer for calling for this. One government source said at the time that Keir Starmer was playing politics, that he was an opportunist. Well, you know, that's now not what they're saying.